How different is this moment than others? How much more really are we taking heat when you think back on previous administrations that you covered and those that perhaps preceded those?
So, David, it's great to be on with an all-star moderator like yourself. Let's give the moderator a round. And I'm not saying that just so he'll give me the easier questions as we go on. Andrea's covered 7 administrations. I've covered 6. I've covered 10 presidential.
Junior correspondent.
Junior. But I would say this is different. This is different than anything I've seen before. And the other 5 presidents I covered are more as different as they are, from Ronald Reagan to Barack Obama. They are all more alike than Donald Trump is different. And it's different in many ways, in policy ways and experience, but it's a different experience covering it. It is more difficult to cover the Trump administration than previous administrations. It's more hostile to the news media. It doesn't recognize some of the traditional roles of the news media. And the president has found a way to get around the traditional news media with this extraordinary skill at communicating with people using Twitter. So this has been, I think it is not hyperbole to say this is a different time, and we are all still trying to figure it out.
Jonathan Capehart, why does it matter that the president in, I guess, a 280-word presidential missive, presidential missives can say something like, the press is the enemy of the people, why enemy of the state? Why does it matter that he uses such sharp and seemingly historically loaded terms?
Because we have never seen, no president likes the press. No elected official really likes the press. The president especially doesn't like the press. And to pick up on what Susan was saying before, all presidents have tried to figure out a way to get around those people in the briefing room or those people in the pool.
With some success.
With some success, but usually they go and call in regional reporters, bring in the television reporters from local markets and bring them to the White House, and then they get to have the big story. That, because a local reporter almost never gets an interview with the president, usually ends up being a little softer than the folks in the room who are covering the president on a daily basis. With this president, we have never seen a chief executive really go after the press by saying that we are an enemy of the people, by going after individual reporters by name. Maggie Haberman has been called all sorts of names personally by the President of the United States. And I think what gives his tweets even more impact or more import is not just because he's the President of the United States. Whatever the president says is always important. But early on in the administration, I believe it was then Press Secretary Sean Spicer who said that tweets were actually presidential announcements, to the point where some clever person came up with a Twitter handle that turns every presidential tweet into an official White House statement.
I like that. Yeah.
And so that's why when the president tweets anything, we focus on it, we pay attention to it. But when the President of the United States goes after journalism, goes after journalists, goes after individual either networks or individual reporters, it's worrisome because, one, it never happens before. We've seen it happen in other places. The president sets the example for other leaders in other countries. So if the President of the United States can say that journalists are the enemy of the people, then they're like, hey, fake news, journalists are the enemy of the people. Oh, a journalist gets assassinated, no big deal. No need to worry about freedom of information or even the rule of law.